Greetings, people. I think I might be starting to come down with the flu that my family had over Christmas break, so that's fun. Not feeling too grand, starting to run a fever, so glad we're getting this in now tonight before things go south. Typical to get sick right after a bowl game season thing. It's almost like clockwork that I go down with something. After a lot of coaches go through that, a lot of other people that have like weird jobs that are very like demanding time wise over like a segment of the year will like get sick. So
I think that's what mine did the weekend after signing day week. It's like that's enough for you. You want to sit down for a while.
yeah, I mean, I slept for a couple of days when we had like no bowl practice or anything going on in the after signing day. So yeah, it's appreciate everyone for joining in. I think everybody's in their feelings after the way the season ended. I wrote about this in the mailbag today, but and I think I may even said this before on one of these shows. If things had happened a little differently, like you lose at Wake Forest and then don't split the last 4 games and lose somewhere else along the line, you end up 9-5. Like people would be pretty happy with that. But that's not how it played out. Brent's
No.
certainly not happy. Fans are not happy. No one's happy about this. This is about as unhappy a 9-win season as I've seen in a long time. Sorry. So like, yeah, it was just kind of a thud, and it felt bad for Haynes, and I felt bad for a lot of the kids and players and coaches and people who put their blood and sweat into this. And poor Alex was sitting next to me during the game. And,
I didn't feel as
watching
bad.
his emotional roller coaster.
It wasn't as bad as the Georgia game,
No.
but yeah, it's tough. I mean, like you said, starting 8-0 and getting that expectation up there, and then just kind of having it crash down at the end, and it was a tough way to end it. But yeah, I mean, it's positive. It's stepping in the right direction. 7 wins the last 2 seasons, 9 wins.
I mean, you've been stuck on a plateau since 2016 of not winning more than like 7 games in a season. Won a lot of, had multiple 3-win seasons, had several kind of 500-ish seasons. So yeah, it just feels, it feels disappointing given how well things were going at one point, I guess would be the way to put it. And I get it, man. Like I get you. And the funny thing is, Brent gets it too. Like he will say, "Fan is short for fanatic." Like he gets why the people are on our site, or even probably places where things are more toxic, like Facebook or like X or whatever. Maybe Reddit. Like, those are like like if you care about something that much. I have friends that are into like English soccer, right? Like or international soccer even, and like I see them like just living and dying like with every play and every match, regardless of like even like some of the friendlies and stuff. So like I get it, man. Like, and trust me, no one, there were very few people as disappointed as I was after that game. I wanted to see Brent Key house a couple Pop-Tarts, eat the like cooked Pop-Tart out of a toaster. Like I was so psyched to watch all of this unfold. And I was like this close to just sending Alex to the post-game press conference and going and like watching the BYU thing because I thought it was going to be pretty cool. But I had my whatever journalistic bit of me was still going is sent me over into the media room to go do the post game. But yeah, I think this is another step in the right direction, but they have a lot of work to do. By the way, David DJ Jacobs committed to Ohio State. Alex, if you're wondering about that, we were talking about this before.
It's better than the alternative.
Yeah, UGA Legacy just committed to Ohio State, 2027, right?
Yep. From Blessed Trinity.
So that was an off-air conversation we were having. But yeah, man, it was cool. The crowd was good. I thought it would be even more BYU fans than it was. It was a pretty even crowd.
Yeah, it was probably I'd say 60-40 maybe. I don't know. Maybe a little closer, but I mean both fan bases were loud and were into it, and BYU
We were
fans
on
weren't.
the BYU side, so we
Yeah,
heard more of their fans because of where we were stationed. That's where
and
that's how it was.
they were hot about some calls in the first half. I noticed on my Twitter comments they were all about it. So, but I think one of the pass interference, or they wanted a pass interference on a play in the end zone, didn't get it. But I mean, we didn't get very many. That Amari Harvey pass interference was not great in my opinion. I mean,
They
he hit him, but
called it pretty mediocrely across the board. It
yeah,
wasn't like they weren't the most egregious one. I think was the second illegal snap, and then maybe like one of those PI calls that was real bad. That went against Tech. There were a couple that were the late hit was pretty questionable. That was on BYU on the sideline, and I don't think either coach would tell you that that really impacted the game, which
no,
is sort of what you're looking for. They ended up getting the pick right after that, right, with Rodney
yeah,
after the
Rodney's
PI.
one.
So that ended up not
Yeah,
mattering.
yeah, he and he came out of the end zone. He even laughed. I think when we asked him about it afterwards, he was like he kind of forgot where he was. I think after he got that pick, and he like tried to drag his foot in the end zone to stay in and whatever, but it ended up hurting him. But yeah, it was a weird game. Like Georgia Tech had every chance in the world to go up 3 scores in that third quarter and just couldn't get it done. And that's when I kind of felt like, well, this is one of those times where it's going to come back to hurt them, and it did. Um, and BYU kind of got their running game finally going in the second half, and Georgia Tech couldn't really stop it. And the quarterback was hurt, and he like played his. That's who I voted for MVP. I think he won it up.
Bear Mark Meyer, yeah, he won the MVP for the
But
game.
he
They were
he was
hassling us for like that whole fourth quarter to like send it in. I was like, I'm not sending this until the game's over. Like we don't. It literally came down to what, like 10 seconds left or whatever, in the pick in the end zone. Like that was literally what the game came down to. So like it would it would have been either quarterback probably. So yeah, it was
yeah,
it was interesting. Tech looked like the superior team, which I think is the frustrating thing for in terms of athleticism. From for over BYU, and I think that frustrated everybody. Um, I think you saw the not having a experienced offensive coordinator and a guy who's called plays. As many conspiracy theories as there were about Winky calling plays in the UNC game and the Georgia game, or at the end of 2022. Winky came out and said they hadn't called plays since he was at IMG, before he came back to college. So like he was a little he was a little over his skis in the 1 minute offense, I thought, and a little bit. In the third quarter, they just stopped running the ball for some reason. They had a couple of runs bottled up, and then they got real pass happy, and that's when the offense kind of bottled up. And that was not what you needed to do there. They needed to run Haynes more, to be honest with you, than they did. I thought the part that everyone's kind of harping on, which I agree with, and I think Brent would tell you, is the management of the 1 minute drill at the end was terrible. They let too much time run off on a couple plays, and really when they got down after the deep shot to Rivers in the fourth down, you hit the miracle pass. That was probably the time to run a QB draw and let Haynes try to get you down, because you're at the 18, I think, at that point, get you
yeah.
down and to make it where they can't just play soft zones into the end zone like they were doing. And I
That's
think
what.
I think the first down play he rolled out and took a lot of time. That was one where he should have tucked the ball and ran. Like he just threw the ball away, and it was like, just run, get 5 yards, whatever it is. It makes it easier to cook up some different stuff. I get the idea that it can be easier sometimes to score from 18 out, but like it wasn't in that situation. They were just going to put everybody in the end zone basically, and then have 4-man rush. So like go down, roll out, go out. You can run out of bounds or whatever. But I think it's going to be something that's coming along. And then I think that's, the shortcomings of Brent right now has been some clock management issues in key situations. And then there were a couple times where they were like behind the clock in terms of getting plays in and had to burn some timeouts that were not good, especially in the first half. They burned one in a situation where they shouldn't have had to burn a timeout.
Well, that's what happened at the end too. Is they were so slow getting out of the huddle and everything that they had to burn a timeout and got didn't know where to line up. That was the first down play, and
Yep.
then right before BYU called that timeout on fourth down, Key was calling a timeout on the other side, like he was irritated because they weren't getting the play in time, and luckily BYU bailed him out with that last timeout. But yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's just when they got that first down after the Rivers catch, you could have went up there and run. You had 3 timeouts left, but you had trouble getting out of the huddle and had to waste
Yeah, it
one
was just
there. And
all.
yeah, it wasn't great. I mean, you could just run it. They could have. That's what he kept saying. They got 3 timeouts. They can run the ball, but I don't know. They didn't. So I don't know. I mean, he had receivers open there and some of those plays too. It just didn't work out.
I think people are asking in the chat about Haynes um, um, not running the ball. I wonder if he was banged up. Like, I don't think he was. Someone said trying to not get hurt. I don't think so. I think it was more like he has taken a lot of hits this year and run the ball a lot, and especially over the back half of the season. None of those guys are like super healthy. Like everybody's banged up. I mean, they were like Rivers barely warmed up before the game. Like there were guys playing not at 100%. And so I think that plays into it. Everybody has this mentality now that it's like a video game, right? Like I can go and you press whatever play in, and then they go out and execute. It's not like that in real life. It's just not. I've been explaining this to my son. My 15-year-old was watching the game. And he had some questions after I got back yesterday about the game, and we were talking about it. And I was like, look, people make mistakes. Like there's a huge human error element when you're playing a sport like this. It's the same reason you see NBA guys miss a shot. In theory, like an NBA guy might be able to hit 14 straight free throws easily, but in a clutch moment they might brick one or two just from fatigue or mental or whatever. And so it's different. What was Isaiah Canyon's undisclosed injury? I think he was banged up. Um, you know, if it had been a playoff game, he would have been playing. Um, but they knew that he wasn't going to play for a little while. That he had been being held out a little bit during practice for the bowl thing. That was not super surprising. But asking about the OC, I don't know who the OC is. I legit do not know. And I've said this. I've had various theories. Every one of my theories has been shot down by the people who could shoot it down. The one person who knows what exactly is going on. Um, and
They've kept it under wraps pretty good. I'll say that. And usually stuff leaks out, but this one's this one's sealed up pretty tight, I think. So I
so
don't know.
what I've been told is that we will find out after the New Year's what he's doing with the OC situation. And that is where it's at. I posted my theories on the board and on the mailbag today too. That to me means two things. One, it's somebody that's still coaching, or it's two, someone's under some kind of contract that has a stipulation or some financial reason to not have it be out. On Isaiah, so here's my theory on Isaiah. I'll give it to you. I think he will go into the portal, but it doesn't mean he's not coming back. A lot of guys are going into the portal, particularly this cycle, and I've seen this some last year too. You saw even with Malik Rutherford. They go in and it allows them to set the market value for them in terms of what the portal other schools are willing to pay or whatever. then they can turn around and go. Brent can choose to match it. They could choose to go somewhere else, whatever. I would say the one thing that probably helps Georgia Tech now with that is Cam Coleman going into the portal, which wasn't expected. Obviously, I know the new Auburn staff pretty well. They were all at USF, and they felt good about keeping Cam Coleman. He announces today he's going in. A&M's the big player. I think was the biggest threat to Georgia Tech with Canyon. I think they're going to go all in on Cam because Cam was committed there, and he is the best receiver in the portal, and so that's what's going on. Um, so yeah, and yeah, I think. But someone was asking about downshifting a little bit. They were trying to run their 2 minute offense and not give BYU any clock back. That was the plan. It was the same reason BYU called a timeout in the beginning of the second half when Tech had the ball at the -3 to start that drive, right? You want to get the ball back with time to try to score. So I think it would have been interesting. It would have been really interesting if King had tucked it and ran on two of those plays, though, because it could have been a foot race to the end zone between him and the defenders because they were all had their backs basically to the field and were covering downfield or like out of position to stop a scramble. But it didn't happen. So, I mean, Haynes is giving it his all. I have not seen a dude, Justin Thomas and probably Josh Nesbitt are the two guys I've seen that have played as kind of balls out as Haynes King did at Georgia Tech. So I've saw Joe and Godsey and some of the other guys. I never saw Sean Jones play, but in person, but he leaves it all out there. So like, he was broken up after the game. He was really emotional about it.
And I don't I want to say this now, and I don't want Georgia Tech fans to take it the wrong way, but I've seen some stuff on Twitter about like people saying that Haynes King was like a little overrated as far as like how he was, thought about in the last year or so, a couple years. They say he didn't beat Georgia and all this other crazy stuff. Like it's you got to have some context. Like he basically put the team on his back the last 2 years, and a lot
He
of their
was a leader in the
success,
locker room too. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of their success is because of him. Yeah, obviously, like nobody more than me wants to beat Georgia, but um, like he did everything in his power last year that they should have beat Georgia. Um, had a crazy fumble that probably should have been a penalty. We won't go rehash all that, but um, I mean they've been right there. That's the whole point of taking that next step as a program. They've been in these games. You just got to figure out how to finish them. Um,
They've closed the margin as Brent
yeah,
talked about when he got the job. And I think there's an anxiety to win. And it's not just at Georgia Tech, it's all across college football. Look at all the people who got fired this year. Um, and the thing that to me, like, not to cut you off, Alex, but
no, you're good.
Haynes Haynes made a choice to stay at Georgia Tech. He turned down less money in the portal from big schools, especially in the spring portal, that tried to get him to come. He was loyal, and Brent was loyal back to him, and the team was loyal to him, and they believed in the guy. So he has elevated the program with his play. He has been the best quarterback they've had since Justin Thomas, and probably maybe the best all around quarterback they've had since Joe Hamilton. Um, that's a pretty damn high bar, right? Like he was in the Heisman, he was legit in the Heisman race. He won the ACC Player of the Year. Like he is a damn good player. So
Yep, yep. And it was good to see Malik break that. Well, he didn't break the
another
record, but
guy who's been
yeah,
Malik. Malik came in. He was like 130 pounds. He wasn't lying when he said that. I met him in the COVID summer. He was at the thing, and it was like he was hanging out when they were doing a camp in the indoor for prospects or something. I feel like it was that summer. And I just was like, "Hey, how much you weigh?" He goes, 133. And I was like, "Oh my gosh! Like, how are you going to play?" And the dude was like, he played, and he's second all time in receiving now. Like, he's a tough little dude. People bag on Clayton Powell. He had a terrible senior year in a lot of ways. He won the Wake Forest game though for you, and um, again, dude just played his heart out. Like there's a lot of these dudes on that team. Like they're playing maybe over their physical abilities. I think Eford's one of those guys. I think Kyle's really limited in some aspects physically, but he plays his heart out. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to reflect on how Haynes is viewed in a few years too. Like, and that's what's so interesting about all this too, because they got him out of the portal. No one. It wasn't a big deal that they got him. He was a kind of viewed as broken toy coming out of A&M. So
I was
I,
I said it on the board. I think when few like a month or so ago, before I worked for you, I was on the board, and I was one of the ones that was irritated when they named him the starter over Zach Pyron, and um, like I thought that was a bad
I didn't
choice.
think he'd beat Zach out. He looked terrible in the spring. He didn't
And
know the
so
offense, and like Zach knew the offense and looked better.
yeah, and
And then he just caught him, and then just like went like this, like
yeah,
past him. It was unbelievable.
and he showed us all why that choice was made. So um, yeah, big time. I wish he would have won a couple more of these last few for him and for the other seniors that brought the program up from 3 wins to 9 wins in the last 3 years.
So this is asking about if it could be an NFL guy. Yeah, it could be an NFL guy. It could be a college guy. Like there's ways these contracts work and how things are done. And to me, this whole thing, what I've kept being told over and over again since I was told he had made a decision, which was the the wrong calendar. I put a new calendar up and it's like I put it on March for some reason instead of January, um, or December. Uh, so like around the 15th, 16th, he had made his decision what he was doing, and then they blew out some other interviews they had. So, um, I legit don't know, but that's as good a guess as any. My hope is that I'll get a heads up on what's going on. I expect to, but I think it'll be a little closer to New Year's.
Yeah, yeah,
Do you expect them to hammer the portal? Yeah, they've saved. They Brown went out and raised a bunch of money. They need 4 defensive tackles, probably a better defensive end, an upgrade at linebacker, a safety, a corner on the defensive side. You need a tight end, probably a starting center or a guard, one or the other. Did I say tight end? Probably need 2 portal tight ends, like an older kid, and because they play with a lot of them. Um, and obviously, a quarterback. That's going to be what's going on. Everybody keeps asking about Colton Joseph. I do think they're good. I think he is very much someone they're evaluating and looking at. There's probably like a dozen quarterbacks right now that they're evaluating. Chris Winkie should be staying on staff, and he's involved in all that. So, yeah. I'm planning on doing something on the portal, assuming I'm not like dead tomorrow, being sick. Um, on the portal tomorrow, probably tomorrow Wednesday. Oops, sorry.
the drafted question. I think Jordan Vandenberg will get drafted mid rounds maybe.
I think
Um,
Keelan has a shot at getting drafted. I think
yeah,
Jordan has a shot at getting drafted. Um, I think Haynes King will be a UDFA, an undrafted free agent. And I think camp invite guys would be like Amari Harvey will be a camp invite guy, assuming he gets healthy.
yeah. Omar
Um,
Daniels maybe.
yeah, even maybe Shelley will run well. Some of those guys might get some camp invites.
And I think Jamal Haynes will test well. Like he could. He didn't have a great senior year, but he's shifty and can run a little bit. So they're always looking for a kind of a smaller playmaking type of running back, maybe even a kick returner in the NFL.
No, they don't. Nako's, no one knows. That's why there's nothing out there, man. Brent has kept this quiet intentionally. Whoever he's hiring wants it quiet. So when you want that, and both parties want to keep it quiet, it stays quiet. That's the difference in this situation. like Blake Gideon's thing came out because of Texas people, because Texas people don't keep anything quiet typically. Like, so if there's an effort to keep something quiet for a reason, it will stay that way. And I think it'll become apparent whatever the move is that happens.
If stuff gets told, it's a lot of the time by the agents want it to be out there, and if they don't want it to be out there, it's not going to be. So I think they've.
Yeah, Rivers has a chance. I think Rivers is probably UDFA guy. Um,
I said this
uh,
on
Manley had
the.
surgery on his shoulder. If you hadn't noticed, he left the game several times this season, where basically his like arm was like hanging, like it looked like it just popped out of the socket.
Yeah,
He's had a shoulder problem since he got here.
yeah,
That got messed up really early on, or I think actually that was an injury they fixed when he got here, and then it's gotten worse and had to be fixed again.
yeah. There were a few games where he was in and out. Yeah,
So this is the thing that everybody's getting wrong about this, and Brent was very clear about it. I could read you the quote if I had it pulled up. The portal pieces are not necessarily dictated by the offensive coordinator, though if he knows who he is, Brent can run that by whoever the guy is now. But they're going to run this Georgia Tech offense, what they've been running. It ain't Buster's offense. It is what Buster and Brent and everyone else who's touched it, Chris Winkie, everyone who's been involved with this for the last few years has had a hand in the offense in one way or the other. And they've put together this system. It ain't what freaking Buster ran when he was an OC at Southern Miss or Middle Tennessee State. It's not what Georgia was running with Todd Monken. It's a collaborative offense, and so that'll be interesting to see what happens. Why are they not bringing Manley back? He's not costing you anything. He's not someone that's paid a lot of money. And he's an older guy, and you've just seen three straight examples of like a edge guy leaving and having a great senior year somewhere else. Manley's issues were as much about who was around him and his shoulder than anything else. He was getting good pressures before he got really hurt.
I'm looking. I'm looking right now at my stats I put on the defensive line thing today. He was. I think he was. Let's see. I know Vandenberg was first on the team with 3 sacks. Uh, where's old Manley at? Oh yeah, Manley had three
Oh
sacks.
no, 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 no. I mean, maybe 100, but like JT Byrne probably got 100 grand. Like I think six figures is not what y'all think it is in this situation.
Yeah, Vandenberg had 3 sacks. Manley had 3 sacks. Um, I mean, he played good in stretches, and he was there. He was close for a while to get more sacks.
Who should you direct your anger at? Um, to be honest with you, I like Buster. I would consider him a friend. I think if you have Buster, you win that game. So that's where you should direct your anger. Him leaving is what kind of threw everything off. Petty's injury in the bowl game, whatever it was not serious enough that he was in street clothes and on crutches or anything. It looked like, I guess people said he messed up his knee.
He was in the. I think he was in a pile,
Yeah,
like
twisted up maybe.
yeah, yeah. It wasn't. I hadn't had the heart to go back and watch the game on TV broadcast, but I wanted to see that, and I wanted to see. People were talking about the illegal snaps earlier. I think
The
Key
second
and
one was just a bad call, like nothing
that's.
happened.
I think they were Key and the people on the sideline were trying to say that it was. I think even Andy said it on the radio. Somebody said that it was could have been some whatever it's
Them
called.
trying to entice the
Yeah,
snap, yeah.
disconcerting signals or whatever, where they were clapping or something. So,
All right, let's jump into some
let's
from
do
the,
it.
the thing.
All right, let's get to the right one. I went back to my defensive line story today. All right, here we go. Oh, here's what practical steps will Brent Key take during the offseason to stop mismanaging the clock? I mean, he's
Worked out every year. They brought in
yeah,
Brandon Farrell to help. Literally, his title is like game management, something or other. Because I remember talking to Coach Key about like when he was bringing. I didn't know he was bringing in, but like he had told me about the guy, and he was like, this is what this guy's supposed to do. He was explaining it to me, and his job was to help with that. And I don't know, like, um, I think a lot of what was going on was not having a guy who's called plays before there. Um, it was weird. By the way, y'all bag on Roddy. Roddy wanted Georgia Tech to win the game. Like, y'all hate on Roddy Jones, but like he was like pumped up at halftime that they were playing so well, and so like he loves Georgia Tech. He is just really trying to probably overcompensate to not be a homer when he does stuff.
That's like the John Smoltz doing the national broadcast now, and he tries to not be a Braves homer. I think Roddy was in line for the ice cream Pop-Tart ice cream sandwiches at halftime with.
Yeah, we hung out. I get Roddy gave me a hug. We talked. I love Roddy. We talk to each other whenever we see each other. Like he loves Georgia Tech. He's just trying to be trying to the line. I think he got in trouble earlier this year, anyways, when he called out what was it, the SEC, and got pushback a little bit already. So I think he's probably trying to walk the line a little bit.
Can't be doing that on ESPN. They're all about that SEC.
Was Haynes hurt in the second half of the season? I don't know. They struggled to run. That's so the one thing Brent would tell you is the run game was terrible in the second half of the season, just in general. And that's a big reason why Alan Mogridge is back as your offensive line coach, why they're making some other staff changes on the offensive side of the ball. And I'll have some more detail on what's going on the defensive side of the ball probably tomorrow. There's a story that's written, ready to go on all of that.
I think that Hosley was just more productive, to be honest, too. Like,
Oh, is he asking about Jamal, or was it? I thought he was asking about Haynes King. Sorry.
that's why I took it. Jamal Haynes.
Jamal has like I don't know if it's turf toe or he has like some kind of thing. Like he has not been right for like 2 years, and has just tried to play through it. He's been in a boot off and on. Like, um, yeah. So this gets back to what I was mad about with the fans when someone asked me my thoughts after a game. That was the number 12 team in the country. They lost twice to Texas Tech, who has like the best roster that money could buy, basically, and in relatively close games. Like they were very good. I thought they were going to lose. I was talking to a buddy driving back who's a big Tech booster guy, and we were both kind of like, that went a lot better than I expected. It sucks they didn't win, but like it was close. So yeah.
I think that hurts more sometimes, though. Honestly, I've had the
So Malachi has been hurt, and they've talked about this. He missed a game. With it, he had some kind of injury, and I think he got tweaked because there was a certain point where they just stopped playing him for a while. And he really didn't come back into the game until much later. I think he's been banged up. So
he was sparsely used in the first half of the Georgia game. So
and I don't know what's up with Luke Harper. I really didn't see what happened on that play, but it definitely impacted things because they had a good plan to use him.
he made the great one-handed catch on the play that didn't count on the Jamal pass.
Thanks, brother. I put that in there just to keep people from being crazy and basically keep out UGA fans. That's really what that's about. Like, welcome.
Here's a question for more long-term stuff. If college football were to ever change to a 64 or 80 team league of divisions, who do you think would be the catalyst behind that? The NCAA, or ESPN, or government institution? Or I don't think the NCAA has as much power anymore. So
I
it's
think
going to
it'll be a
be somebody
collective
else.
bargaining situation where they have to put something together to try to regulate this. And I think that's what it's moving towards slowly.
It's gonna have to be the TV deals and the schools that are going to, because NCAA is not going to make major change now. They can barely enforce what they're doing right now. So
If we had to pick a portal quarterback, who would it be? I don't know if is he in. CJ Bailey is the one that I think's the best.
I like the kid from Iowa State, but I don't think he's in Georgia Tech's orbit. Becht.
Oh, Rocco Becht.
I think he's a good tough player.
I'd say CJ Bailey behind CJ Bailey. And the one that would be most interesting at Tech would probably be Byron Brown because he's a lot like Haynes King, but he's he's a lot more like Josh Nesbitt with his passing accuracy, so that's kind of a problem. No, Bailey's been on scholarship for a while. They put him on scholarship. He was a walk-on to start with.
Let's see here. We'll talk
I'm
about
not,
Haynes.
I can't tell you what's in the minds of like teenage boys. Like, so I don't know. I saw Bailey at his "It's My Time" post or whatever on. Someone asked me what it meant, and I was like, I don't know. I'm a 45-year-old man.
He's
Um,
he's been behind Malik Rutherford for the last 3 years, so maybe that just means it's his time to step up and take on a bigger role.
and Bailey Stockton to making sure I got my degree though before I do anything.
Just reading through. Let's see.
Oh, Rocco Becht, yeah, he probably is going to Penn State.
That would make sense. Let's see. We're reading through all these repeat questions. Here's one. What was your take on the accusations of Brent's stubbornness, and is that driving away the assistant coaches? I
The
don't,
stubbornness.
or like, yeah, that's what they asked. I think they're meaning like maybe
So,
riding
all
the
right.
guys
So
too hard.
here's the deal with all of this, and Jeep, Wade, and Buster and those guys were not thrilled about this from the jump. Brent does everything like O'Leary. So like, and Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and a lot of other successful coaches I know. Brent used to brag when he was an assistant coach about being in the office at 4 a.m. That is the kind of guy that he is. He is gonna grind himself, grind. And he expects a lot from his assistants. If you produce, you're fine. When you screw up, you're going to get chewed to bits. And it's not for everybody. And Nick Saban ran through a lot of guys for the same reason. Like old school dudes like it, some guys don't. It was a tough spot for both Jeep and Buster because Buster lived so far away. He was commuting, and Jeep would like sleep in his office sometimes, and it was by his own choice. But like those guys kind of ground themselves down, I think, and I think that's why they left. So like this is who he is. He's not going to change who he is at 40 something years old. He joked about how Larry told him he needed to be nicer to his staff, actually. And he was like, who the hell is this guy? This was not the guy I worked for. But he's mellowed out some, but like he is really demanding. If you produce, then you get more probably like leeway on stuff. But he also gives them time with their families and all that other stuff. So I think it's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out. Like they definitely had. I mean, if you get Chip Kelly to come visit, like that shows that it's not some poisoned well that no one's going to be interested in. Like you have really interesting people wanting the job. So I think we're gonna see what happens.
You brought up Nick Saban. I think that's the whole point. Is you can be a hard, demanding coach on your staff, and you can do that as long as you like win. Like if you do that and don't win consistently,
Well,
then it's a problem.
That's the Butch
Right.
Jones or Jeremy Pruitt thing, where those guys were like that. I mean, Butch Jones is probably like the stories I heard about Butch Jones at Tennessee are like the craziest I've ever heard about a demanding coach. And it's why he is like stuck where he is. I think is he at like Arkansas State now or somewhere?
I've lost track of
Um,
Butch Jones after the garbage can.
yeah, the garbage can man. That's why like those poor people, man. Like I had a buddy get offered a job there, and like people were just like, "Don't work there." Brent's not getting that. Like it's more like this is a grind. Understand what it is. Do I think Jeremy Pruitt will come on as an analyst? You're he is a very close friend of Brent's. Do I think it's a good idea to bring him in? It depends on and where Jeremy's at. Maybe he's been humbled by everything that's happened to him. I think he got a little in over his skis at Tennessee, but the Duke can coach ball. Um, so I would not be opposed to him
Did
helping out if he can.
didn't he just get a job, analyst job somewhere? That's why the whole
He's
thing
at
came up.
Jacksonville State working for Charles Kelly in
Yeah,
Alabama.
that's
They
what I
figured out a way to make him where he can't touch recruits or be around them or whatever. Not touch, but you get what I'm saying. Um, so yeah, I mean, they're going to
yeah.
pay. They offered Aaron File $3 million, so like that Florida matched 2.5 plus incentives. So if you're gonna be in that ballpark, that gets you in on pretty much any quarterback. Maybe not C.J. Bailey or Byron Brown. I think those two guys are in 4 or 5, from what I heard. But you're in on everybody else at that price. I believe McKnight's gone. Brown was interviewing receivers coaches yesterday.
That's unfortunate. I think he was one of the best on the staff.
Yeah, I like Trent a lot. Good
That was
dude.
one. That was one I was after the thing a couple weeks ago where it seemed like the Florida stuff died down. I thought he was sticking around, but I guess he finally got the offer he wanted.
Yes, it's a grind. Yes, like getting a tech degree. It is not dissimilar to what the kids go through that are there. And it's not for everybody, man. Like I said last week or the last time we did a show, someone we all know got offered a job, not me, but someone we all know, not Alex, got offered a job. And basically all of us told him not to take it because it was not, the work life balance was not for that person's family situation. And there's no regrets. And Brent was upfront about it. That was the funniest part because he like called me and asked me what I thought. And I was like, I explained to him why I thought it was a bad idea. And then I explained to the person why I thought it was a bad idea. And I was like, this is why. And it's okay. Like not everything, I've turned down jobs too, man. Like, cause I don't want to move across the country or whatever. Like it things have to line up for you. So I would not work for Brent. Alex might, but I would not. And Brent's friend, but like I would not work for him. Like there's no way.
I tell
Enjoy the
you
hell out
what,
of the dude, but that's not, that life's not for me, man.
it's like the UPS life's not for me.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, like, and some people like that, man. Some folks get off on it. Like Coach Mo loves like grinding, like the new O line coach. I've never seen a guy work harder than Alan Mogridge. Like I watched, so he was at USF, and I would go down and do their summer camps when Tech didn't have one, and that dude would like they'd be like warming up and he had sweated through an entire shirt. Like that's how hard he was going. The dude, like he is an O'Leary guy. He was Brent's GA at UCF. Like that's, and you're gonna have some people like that, and some folks don't work like that. And sometimes you miss. Like he missed on a couple of hires. Like, and we'll see what happens with Blake Gideon. I expect Gideon to stay, but like it's something that can change in the moment. Like what happens. Like you know um so we'll see.
I was just checking the Falcons. Apparently, they're winning.
Well, no, you don't, I mean, Summerall ain't no picnic either, brother, and they've got 2 years or they're all going to get fired. Brent has a lot of runway at Georgia Tech. The UF coaches, so Buster Faulkner is the ninth offensive coordinator since 2008 at Florida. If you want to put in perspective, all of them got fired.
I got to do some sightseeing yesterday over at the swamp.
So with assistants, Brent expects them to recruit at a high level, right? Like other than maybe the coordinators, um, they're expected to recruit at a high level. That's why there were some other changes too. Like some guys weren't getting it done on the recruiting end of it. You either have to be an excellent coach or a great recruiter or a balance. And in some cases, the balance wasn't right, and that's why there's been some changes too, man.
It's
So
a performance business. You gotta perform. I mean, you don't get a whole lot of rope in the college football coaching, um, even less than they used to. So you got to produce, or you get fired, or get told to move on, or you whatever. So got to produce.
Let's take a second here, folk, and let's thank our sponsors, Section 103. Bringing you the best in Georgia Tech gear. Now have some other places. I think LSU, USF. I'm not sure who else they're doing these days, along with Georgia Tech. But really good, kind of fresh gear. A lot of Haynes King stuff. The North Avenue Trade School shirt that I love so much. The Brent Key hoodies. You get all that stuff at section103.com. Check them out and tell them that we sent you. And thanks to them for sponsoring the thing. Alex is a firm believer. He probably spent most of his paycheck this month on Section 103. So
I gave out a few Christmas gifts from Section 103 again. Georgia Southern, got a line on there. I know there'll probably be some merchandise flying off the shelves after their Birmingham Bowl win today from Section 103. So
yeah, our boy Chad Bishop, the AJC writer, is a Georgia Southern boy. So
speaking of the Birmingham Bowl, I want to give a shout out to Andy Demetra. I texted Kelly about this yet today, but he went from Pop-Tarts Bowl home Sunday afternoon, called the Georgia Tech basketball game, then straight to Birmingham to call the national broadcast of the Birmingham Bowl for Georgia Southern. So that's a nice little stretch, 3 days there. So talk about a grind. That's a grind for our buddy Andy.
he's gonna bring. Then he's got basketball. He's got basketball in Durham.
Yeah.
And then Wednesday they play again. They play Cal. No, not Wednesday.
They play Boston College Saturday.
Sorry, I keep looking at the stupid March 2026 map. They play, I don't remember who, on Saturday.
It's BC at the McCamish.
Yeah. It's a noon, I think, probably.
Yep, somewhere around there. All right. Here's one. I'll do this one first because, like I said, I hadn't watched the TV broadcast. But
sorry. I was going to answer this. How is this any different? It's not. The guys I know at USF that work for Alex Golish were grinding their butts off too, man. Like most of the successful coaches I know all prescribe to this. There's a few Steve Spurrier guys that go play golf, and I think Lane's probably like of that ilk. But everybody else is in there working long days and long nights. Like, so it is what it is. And like, y'all just relax. Don't be so negative. Like, Tech's going 6-6. You don't even know who they're playing and who's on the team you're playing now. Just stop with that nonsense.
We'll
don't be
know
negative for the sake of negative. It's bad for your health, man.
Yeah.
Like, don't be like that.
We'll know a whole lot more about the outlook after the end of January with portal and then going into
Yeah, we don't
spring.
know who's on anyone's team right now. Florida State doesn't even have a team right now, basically. Their entire team's in the portal. Like, you have no idea what anyone's going to look like. And Duke's been rated. Like, Virginia Tech's starting from scratch with the new coach. Who else? Whatever else changes. Oh, I do have some scoop for you, though. Apparently, Chad Morris is in play for the offensive coordinator job at Clemson. So there's your late night scoop from our friends at Tigers Illustrated.
Guess you can go home again.
I just got a text while we were doing the show. Well, I had sent kind of a joke, like I think Feldman threw it out there. I said it. I was like, "This seems right on brand for Dabo." My buddy's like, "I'm not sure."
He might bring his son back to play for.
So Tom Allen, the defensive coordinator, son's been promoted to an on-the-field coach, and they just promoted some other analyst guy that I think is a former player. They really like that.
Yeah, keep it all in the family. ATL Sports. Georgia Tech plays Duke Wednesday at 4 for ACC opener.
Yeah, that'll be the one game, probably one ACC game we don't cover in person this year, as of now. So
here's there was a question about it said that King took like a big hit on the missed snap on the final drive and looked like he might have been concussed. So I'll have to go back and watch that. That was something I didn't see live. I mean, he made the throw to Eric Rivers on that next play, I think, or two
the throw
plays
to D. Patterson was a hell of a throw on third down too.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's right, because they had the Patterson or Rivers ran out of bounds or somebody on that third down. That happened twice. Here's a question. What is one positive thing you can say about Gideon and his defense?
One positive.
One positive thing.
Um, I thought that they adjusted well at times once they got an idea of what the other team was doing. Like, and they were really good in the red zone most of the season. They created turnovers. That was the one spot where they could create turnovers. They were able to create negative plays, make teams really have to grind out scores. The red zone defense was pretty solid. Other than that, I mean, it's sort of like asking Mrs. Lincoln how was the play. Like it was a rough year, but the reality is, he's a guy thrown in at the last minute because Santucci left after basically the end of January when like everyone had already taken jobs. So you had no real options there. You were going to have to basically hire somebody like that or an unemployed retread. And they weren't able to get someone to kind of be a mentor to him either because of when they did the hiring process. I think you will see the defensive staff looks completely different come the end of January when it's all done. But Blake would tell Blake. You think the guy who's most embarrassed about all of this is Blake Gideon? That dude is one of the most serious humans I've ever met. He would not make eye contact with me on Saturday at the bowl game. Like I was standing looking dead at him as he was like, and like he did not want to like even come say hello because he was pissed. He's pissed about how they played. He feels like he didn't live up to his end of things, that they did not perform, and he is bound and determined to fix it. Whether that happens is a whole other conversation. But Brent believes enough in him that he's planning to stick with him. So that's where we're at.
They had a very good stretch from halftime of the Pitt game, or like the midway through the second quarter through the Georgia game, and then I don't know, kind of regressed back into what we saw all season with the secondary just blowing assignments, no pass rush in the Pop-Tart Bowl. So I don't know if those weeks off made them go back to old habits or what, but I think I've said it all year too. Like Gideon's still learning. He's never called a defense before coming this year, and then he's got to figure out how to adjust and make things better. Like in the middle of a season, in the middle of a game, it's all new to him. He hadn't been the guy that's been in charge. So year one to year two, it's going to be a big time to make some progress, or they'll be looking for another one again next year. So
I was looking something up. So the debate about Tony Elliott versus Brent Key. So who did Virginia beat that was good this year in football?
they beat Duke the first time around. I don't think they're very good though.
They beat Duke handily.
Yeah.
They lost the second time. They beat a Missouri team without a quarterback in the bowl game. They beat UNC by 1 in overtime.
They beat Florida State on that Friday night when the
They had to
Florida
come
State
from
was.
behind at home to beat a bad Washington State team. They had to eke out an overtime win against Louisville right before their wheels came off. They beat Florida State in overtime, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
They beat Stanford. They played like the crappiest schedule I've ever seen. They played Coastal, who fired their coach. They lost to NC State just like Georgia Tech did. They beat William and Mary. They beat Stanford, who was maybe the worst team in the ACC. They beat Florida State, who was the second or third worst ACC team. They won in overtime against Louisville before the wheels totally came off for Louisville. So that's an okay win. I would say Tech's Clemson win is better than that because Clemson was before their season was over. They just have no like decent wins, like, and lost, to Wake Forest, like, like that.
They're
It's too
they're
bad Georgia Tech didn't play in the Gator Bowl. I'll put it that way, because if they play the Gator Bowl, I think they would have rolled that Missouri team with no quarterback.
they I mean, it was very similar. Like Georgia Tech won a lot of games over the first 2 months of the season. Like we said it the whole time, they had been kind of playing with fire a little bit, and it finally caught up to him. It just never caught up. I mean, it never really caught up to Virginia as much until the AZ championship game.
Well, they did against Wake.
Yeah, and Wake, but
And
I
Texas
mean,
lost to Wake too. That's where things get interesting. I don't know. Will Aiden be the highest paid kicker? I don't know, dude. He was paid decently, like, but I mean, he's missed quite a few clutch field goals. Now think about the Georgia game last year. That's really the difference in that game. Even before you get into anything else, he missed a chip shot field goal in that game. Got one blocked against BYU. I don't know if that was his fault or not. He's missed some other kicks that he normally would hit. So he didn't level himself up the way I thought he would in the second half of the season.
it's been a rough bowl season for kickers all around.
All three Luke Rosa guys missed critical kicks in their games.
That Appalachian State kid had 3 tries at a kick today, like a short one, and just he shanked 2 of it. It was bad. Here's more like a broader question. What really happened to the team in the last 5 games? Well, I think I just kind of think their luck kind of ran out of close games of like being able to pull stuff out. Like
They got banged up. And this is the thing too, man. Like, go back and look at what happened when things really started to come off the wheels. What happened? Jai Gilmore got hurt. Jai Gilmore was their starting nickel. He was their most versatile defensive back. He carried a lot of weight for them. Jai gets hurt, and things start to go south. And they never really covered for that. They had like basically all their injuries were in kind of 1 or 2 spots. And things kind of went sideways from there. And the offensive line thing, Harrison getting hurt, really messed them up. They just were never like quite right. And then whatever happened with Jamal and Malachi, like they did not look healthy down the stretch either.
Falcons up 21-0 on the Rams. That's predictable.
Georgia Tech offensive line next year. I think they'll bounce Carney into guard. I think he'll end up replacing Big Red as a right guard. I think you'll see either Riggs or Petty start at the right tackle. They'll keep McKinney at left. And Harrison will either play left guard or center, and they'll go get a portal guy, I think, to be the other guy, or it'll be Kevin P. I do think they'll appreciate looking at I think they'll look at a center maybe in the portal. Riggs can play there. Moore's been okay, not great. Tana was kind of average. They both had some issues. I think that's where you're going to see maybe some changes too. Like there's a couple different portal centers they could go look at to me.
And don't forget about Jimmy Bryson too, coming off the injury. He's big enough to be a power force center or guard.
I don't think it's a downfall. I think the dude's just body gave out on him. Like I think he just ran out of like spark, like from being hurt so much. He's had multiple like lower body injuries, and he took a beating this first couple of years, having to play more than he probably should have because they didn't have a lot of depth. They're going to bring the grass back for 2026. I don't know. It's coming back at some point. I just don't know.
I took a picture. I took a picture of the grass at the swamp yesterday, and it was looking pretty rough.
It always looks terrible at all these schools. Alabama had a spring game where it looked like their field was like infested with some sort of virus. Like it was so bad a few years ago.
That's the thing. Like the upkeep of keeping a grass
so much
these
money.
days is not worth the trade off of turf.
Are they going to go bigger in the defensive line? Yeah, they're going to go. That's where he's spending his money. Let's be honest. In terms of free agency, as we call it now, they'll be trying to get bigger on the defensive line. Not a 3-win season. Yeah, I don't. Maybe they win 3 games. Brent Key might be hanging himself up on the tech tower.
Let's see. There's a question from. I think
Brown's
it's
crew is good.
I think it's one of one of your answers on the mailbag. What changes would you make if you were Key? ?
I talked about this earlier. Can't even go back to the beginning of the show. What change would I make if I was Brent Key?
Yeah, that was a question from the board.
I'm still kind of pondering this. Um, I would probably change some of how he handles recruiting. He does a little bit of what Paul used to do, and channels so much of it through himself that it bogs him down. Um, he needs to trust his staff a little more to be more self sufficient there. Um, there's some staff I would probably switch out, which I think he's switching out pretty much everyone I would switch out. More to come on that later on the site. I don't know.
I don't think. I know he likes to preach the physical toughness, beating everybody up and making sure they know they played Georgia Tech that week or whatever. But I think that gets a little bit too much sometimes. Like you got to find ways to beat teams other than just trying to pound them and outlast them. That doesn't really work a lot of times against good teams. So I don't know.
I,
Some of that talks a little much sometimes.
I think Brent has a little trouble unplugging himself for a minute, and like and it's very funny because I'll ask him some of these like reflective questions. He'll be like, "I haven't thought about it," and sometimes you got to like have a little take a minute. I was in a very interesting conversation with him over the summer with somebody that's like teaches mindfulness. It was a very random like how this happened. And like learning to unplug yourself. It's something I struggle with in my job. Like it's almost impossible. And it's it's you got to have a little sometimes more self-awareness about some of that stuff. It gets to what you're talking about, like preaching physicality. If you clearly see it, your team's not physically overmatching people, probably need to change your messaging a little bit there. I feel like they have not rotated guys enough. I've been kind of adamant about this. They played the safeties way too much. We should have seen Phoenix Felton before we saw Phoenix Felton. Should have seen more of Tejera. Should have seen more of Elgin Sessions or Dalen Penson or some of those guys playing with John Mitchell, like playing some of those dudes. Daquan White was at times I thought much better than like Toby. Like why not play him a little bit? Like I think there's still some hesitancy there with some of those guys. Harpering was kind of on the bench for a while after he had screwed up a couple times in some games. Like I think they got away from him too much. So yeah,
I think linebacker too. They rotated those guys some, but I think the younger guys should have played a little bit more than they did, especially early in the season.
well, Cayman's sort of that like feast or famine guy. Like he'll make a tremendous play and then do something really bad, and like he's gotta like settle down out there. I thought Tajay was pretty solid when he's in there, and got better. He dropped in coverage and got an interception because that's what's going on. Oh, would you like to see Tech go after like a Meastmaker, the guy from uh, North Texas, or JJ Hoover or something? I don't know. It depends on what you're trying to do. I prefer a guy who can run a little bit. I think that's such a dangerous weapon in this game. Just having a decent amount of mobility. You don't have to run like Haynes King, but to be able to extend plays, move the pocket around, I think there's such a value in that. Or to be able to pick up 10 yards when you need to on the ground, even if it's only 5 or 6 times a game. I am not as big on the pocket air raid guys, but
You see, I'm the opposite. I think the mobile quarterback thing's gotten a little bit too much, like in college football, and I think
give you George Gotsey back there.
well,
Just
like I think offensive coordinators kind of get stuck on that a little bit too much and use it, and you end up with guys getting banged up like Haynes King did. Like I said it all year last year, like where early in the season they were treating Haynes King like he was Tim Tebow, like a physical specimen. You just can't take that beating like he did, and then be as productive down the stretch. So I don't
That
know.
was when they had Zach Pyron doing it the year
Yeah,
before.
yeah. So I don't know. I think the offense, like as a whole, not just Georgia Tech, but college football is going to kind of swing back to like having quarterbacks not run as much because it's such a you're just putting yourself in a bad position um, if they get hurt. And I think Georgia Tech's running game's like struggled because of that this year. Like they were so reliant on King. Like they were it was tough sledding trying to run with get the running backs going. So I don't know. It's weird. I had to go back and watch some of the games a little bit more, but the running game's got to get going again with the running backs.
Oh, the Brent Key hibernating comment. The guy's exhausted. Every coach is exhausted right now. If you're like too dumb to like understand that idea that these dudes like work really hard and don't sleep very much for like months on end, like I can't help you. Like you're just wanting to complain about something. Like that is like I don't give a damn what your job is. If you're like loading trucks in a dock or like a janitor or whatever, if you're working and where my brother did the same thing you did, Alex. My brother loaded trucks for
Oh
McLean,
man,
like thousands of pounds a night. Like at one point, like those are hard jobs, and it wears your body down. You get sick, like your mind. You don't think clearly. He does need to rest, but he didn't do that. He was out interviewing guys and like working on his staff and working on the portal. Literally the second they got back. Like he has not taken a break. He's saying he needs one, but he's not going to get one until the portal closes probably. And it sucks for him because I can see him being ground down. But like I literally see it's like the president of the United States, right? Like go look at what they look like when they went into office and what they look like after 4 years of that crap. Like it doesn't matter who it is, man, other than maybe Reagan because he just looked old from the jump and had his hair dyed. So like he looked about the same, but like everybody else aged like tremendously in 4 years. They aged like 10 years or more. It's like that with coaches, man.
that was a comment like he made. Like
It
it
was an
was
offhand comment. He was
yes.
talking about being tired, which
That's not
and it
something
was
that people
predicated
should.
by a question.
Yeah, that wasn't something I think was going to like latch on to from that press conference of all the stuff that was said. But I don't know. It was weird.
I don't know
Um,
if you need a top 10 portal class, man. I think you just need a good portal class. And it can depend on what you're getting and what makes sense for you. And that's always something that's different year to year. But we'll see what happens. Who do you think wins the Natty, Alex?
uh, I've got a bad feeling. um,
Are you gonna say
this,
Georgia?
I mean, I I hope. I feel like they're just like clicking at the right time, and I don't know. I don't see a lot of teams that's matching up with them personnel wise. So I hope I'm very wrong, and I hope Ole Miss beats them on Thursday or Friday or was Thursday. Thursday's New Year's, right? Um,
Sounds right.
yeah, I hope Ole Miss gets them this time. I just don't see it. I don't know. Other than that, I think probably I don't like it either. But I think other than that, probably I don't know. Oregon's playing pretty well. They're kind of under the radar right now. Um,
Man, you're just sliding Kirk Signetti like left and right, dude. And
yeah, I
that's the
like
team, man.
Indiana, but
Indiana's the team, dude.
I tell you what, though, like the way Alabama played that second half the other night, like I sure wouldn't want to. I bet Indiana wanted to play Oklahoma a whole lot more than they want to play Alabama if they were.
Oklahoma's offense was so bad.
Yeah, they're bad.
It was
But
like Jeff Collins era bad, like just like inept at times. Like they'd have to hit a crazy explosive play to like score or return a punt for a touchdown or like oh man, Indiana looks so much better than these teams. I'll be shocked if they don't make it to the championship game.
and then Mendoza's prize is probably going to be getting drafted by the Raiders, so that'll be
I couldn't
fun.
believe they had the Giants Raiders game on TV. I was on flying home yesterday, and I was like, "Why is this the game?" My buddy goes, "Oh, this is what they scheduled." I was like, "How
They
is this not on like an Amazon game or something? How's that game on TV?"
it was a weird NFL schedule yesterday because they only had two 4 o'clock games. I listened to that NFL XM thing on the way home yesterday, and that's that 4 o'clock they were bouncing back from the Raiders Giants and the the Eagles and Bills. So that was the two options. Yeah, the Raiders are. Pete Carroll should have stayed retired because that was a coming back to that franchise was quite a decision.
On Buster and Brent's relation, I haven't talked to either of them personally about this, so like I don't want to weigh into what I think, how either of them feel. Um, I don't know how desperate Buster is to be successful where he is, and that may be driving some of the actions, or if it's just spite, or it's what he thinks is going to be best for him. So it's hard to gauge any of that, but it's not unusual for offensive guys to like raid, or defensive coordinators to raid guys, and that's when you freak out when they're like Jeff Collins and they don't have people that are like loyal to them that are staff coaches that have coached with them in multiple places. That's the alarm to me more than um, one assistant and a bunch of analysts going. So that's my take on it. I mean, it feels deeply personal to tech people, and it probably costs them a bowl win not having Buster. So that part sucks. But like, them's the break. Sometimes you won a lot of games because of Buster and the job he did, to his credit. So people got to understand that too. And Florida's going to live and die with Buster, or Buster's going to get bounced out there pretty quickly by Summerall, because Summerall has his other OC there with him now, sitting right behind Buster. Like, so Buster's rope's pretty damn short at Florida too. So this is a rough business, especially if you're in an SEC job like that, man. They've been in a death spiral there, so they're desperate to win. So he better hit the ground running, or it's going to be he's going to be back looking for a job in 2 years. Like, and that's the pressure he's under, and it's a different kind of pressure than what he had at Georgia Tech.
As long as they beat Georgia in the cocktail party, we'll be back on board with Florida and Georgia Tech being allies again.
So on this piece of it, Brent abides by the Saban theory of coaching, which is if you're doing a good job and you hire the right people, people will try to hire them away from you. So the expectation is not that people will stay for 5-10 years. That doesn't really happen anyways anymore. Like, so we'll see what's going on. I'm optimistic that he'll get somebody that's not a 1-year wonder. That would not be super helpful, but I think that he's trying to find the best person for the job. I don't think it matters. Did we buy any Pop-Tarts merch? Yeah, Alex and I got these footballs. Those
Very
are free.
nice.
We didn't have to buy any.
Yeah, I was just handing them out when we were wrapping up in
Yeah.
the press
He's
box.
like, anybody want a football? I was like, yeah. And then I had to figure out how to get that home, because I was like, brought a little suitcase and a backpack to Orlando, and I was flying. I almost sent it back with Alex, but I was able to squeeze it into my backpack.
I got some. I
We
got
got
some.
Pop Tarts
Yeah,
that I brought
I
back
got
for
a
my
few
kids.
packs of Pop Tarts. I got a couple of the Pop Tarts K
K
cups
cups.
to bring and tried them. Yeah, I think it was like a brown sugar cinnamon blend type thing. So it's pretty cool. I thought about getting one of those like quarter zip Pop Tart things, but I never got to the merch stand in time. They were closing it up when we went down to the press conference. So
I was trying to get Chad Bishop, the AJC writer's a big socks guy. I was trying to get him to buy the Pop Tart socks. He did not. Anything else in the questions,
that's what
Alex?
I was at the last one. What position do you anticipate being the deepest in the portal this offseason? I think there's a lot of receivers going in because they think they can get a pretty good paycheck, but they're going to kind of be thrown off by the guys at the top a little bit, like Cam Coleman, as in the comments. I don't think he's in the realm of possibility for Georgia Tech right now, but
Yeah, you're right, dude. I should have deflated the football. I didn't even think about that. Now, granted, I didn't have anything to deflate it with either. I would have had to like maybe see if I had a pen that had a pen body that I could pull out, because I'm obviously traveling with whatever I have I don't have like my tool, but like if I had my car, it wouldn't have been a big deal either way. But because I have tools in my car, but yeah,
I had plenty of room in my truck on the 8 hour drive back, so
that should be could be a 6 hour drive.
it was. I left the hotel about 9:30 yesterday, and then when I got in there, it said 5:05 ETA, and then when I got home, it was about 7. So we lost
I
an
mean, you
hour
stopped and
45.
toured all of Gainesville, man.
I did. I walked around the whole stadium. I found a open gate to like where you could walk up to the upper deck. So I did that for about 30 minutes. So, um, but yeah, it was a nice little Sunday drive. So
I
traffic
don't
wasn't
like
too
Gainesville
terrible.
very much. I think I've had bad experience. The second worst hotel I've ever stayed in is in Gainesville. With my first wife, we were driving to Port Charlotte. Um, Actually, we're driving back from Miami to Port Charlotte to Atlanta, and somewhere along that way, we stayed at a Quality Inn, and it was about as sketchy as hotel as I've ever been in. It was right off 75, maybe.
Kelly got me a nice hotel this time. That the only problem was Saturday night was drag racing night outside apparently. So
Well, I told that story on here before, didn't I? That I booked a hotel one of the times Tech played Virginia, and it turned out to be a drag strip. Like literally, the hotel was on a drag strip, and like I heard all this weird sounds in the morning, and it was people going around the track in their car. It was they were having a track day that you could like bring your car out and lap it around the track. And like I had no idea because I pulled up on it at night. I was like driving back to like DC to fly home or something and just booked some random hotel like off of the interstate. And it turned out to be like and they had funny cars. That was what they were racing, like that I was hearing that sounded so crazy.
mine was just the street racing guys with the lights on their cars and zooming around. It was a it was a quite a show.
Do I think I don't have a particular defensive tackle. There's a couple of guys I'm kind of tracking, but there's no one in particular that I've been like, oh, this is the guy they need to go get. I think there's still tons of guys that are going to go in. I was talking to somebody on the tech staff. They said they were tracking 600 kids as of going into the bowl game the other day, and there's been a couple hundred more that have announced they're going in since then.
I think there's a defensive tackle that's interested in Georgia Tech that's um, close to home for me, but I don't know how interested they are in him right now. But you never know. Um,
There's a
we'll,
couple that Tech recruited out of high school that have played other places that are in the portal now too. That could make some sense.
yeah,
Um,
Amari Harvey's little brother he had a huge year. I think he was all conference at was it FIU maybe?
that sounds
I
right.
can't remember, but yeah, he's in the portal. He's a pretty good player.
The
They need
family is very appreciative of what Brent did with Amari. He really helped that kid. That's one of probably the best stories of Brent and his like ability to influence people's lives is what he's done with Amari Harvey and getting him turned around. The vibe being off. I wasn't around the team, so I can't tell you. Like, I didn't go to bowl practice. I was sick. Then my family was sick, so I really decided to not go down to Orlando early. I was having to help my wife and stuff up here, so I don't know. Um,
I thought they seemed pretty into it last week. I actually thought that the vibe was kind of off the Georgia week when I was at practice. It was I don't know, everybody just seemed kind of down after the Pittsburgh loss, but uh, yeah, they seemed pretty energetic last week from what I saw online.
so there's some guys like Eric Rivers that are trying to get another year through various loopholes. Eric's case is really bad because he played, I think, 6 games on defense his first year as like a walk on, maybe,
Yeah,
and
special teams
then
and stuff.
transferred. Yeah. So, like, he has one of the worst cases I've seen. There's some guys that played like down a level or whatever that are trying to get another year. We'll see what happens. I think there's some guys hopeful that maybe there'll be another opportunity. I know Eric's been one of them where the family's been, and Eric's been kind of tried to maybe create that situation where maybe they could get another year.
His whole family was coming out of the parking lot at the same time I was on Saturday, and we talked for a few minutes. It was a big group, and I can't remember. I don't know who it was. One of them was saying they watched our show, so they enjoyed Jacketsonline, so that was pretty cool.
Nice.
Um,
Yeah, I really liked Derek. I think he was special. It just took them a little while to get the chemistry going because he got there and he was hurt, and like so he was just doing routes on air and stuff. So he didn't get the same time with King and that Dean Patterson and Canyon and Zion did, and you could see that there was a little. It took him a little while to knock the rust off and get comfortable in the offense for missing that time. The development part of GT things, taking the next step in the program. I mean, they have a Jimmy's and Joe's issue, and this is something Brown will tell you and he's trying to fix. It's why you saw so many guys go in the portal last year that were not playing or were, got misses in recruiting. There, there were a lot of stuff they had to clean up in terms of the staff there. I mean, in terms of the personnel. They have some Jimmy's and Joe's issues still. Aside from the portal, quarterback, does Grady pass Graham in the spring? How good is Bergeron? I don't know. Those are all really great questions. They're really excited about Grady Adamson. Knowles has a lot of experience in his offense really well now. Is very comfortable in it. Grady's still learning things, but is really advanced quickly. Cole is sort of like a total unknown to me. He was a guy I was tracking over the summer, and then when he committed to VT, kind of lost track of him. It was funny because I had talked to him. I was joking that I was going to go out and watch him play, like I did with Grady and Knowles and Philo, and go try to watch him play if he had ended up. But they ended up committing to Virginia Tech, so then that was sort of all a moot point by the time he flipped back. His season was over. Uh, but yeah, so Cole's a big talented quarterback, sort of in between what Grady and Knowles are in terms of physicality and their games a little bit more in between those two guys.
he's a really good baseball player too. So
Hmm. I think Winky's sticking around, but you never know these days. But every vibe I got was from him that he's sticking around.
hmm.
Gun to my head, do I think Philo's a starting quarterback at Florida next year? You know what? I think he isn't. I think they're going to recruit on top of him, and then it's going to be like a whole situation there if he even ends up going there. I still have some questions whether that happens. Like I think there's so many unknowns, but the fact they're recruiting some of the same guys that Georgia Tech is in the portal is fascinating to me. Who are all way more experienced players than Aaron and John Summerall. When he was at Tulane, he brought in a bunch of different quarterbacks multiple times to push for the starting job, and was best man wins the job. So that doesn't mean that it will be Philo. It might be, but it doesn't mean that he will be. So that'll be an interesting whole thing because that's a whole other interesting aspect of all this, and that's a dangerous game that Philo's playing there. Like if he's not, if they're going to recruit on top of him, that is a tough spot because if he goes there and he sits, that really kind of kills his momentum in terms of his career.
I mean, that's the whole point of why it was so upsetting to a lot of Georgia Tech fans. Is he kind of had it laid out to be the guy already here, and I don't know. I
I
guess
don't know what they would do if he wanted to come back. I think it's interesting. That's the position where it's the hardest to do that, and the fact he cleared out his locker room and left and didn't go through bowl practices. But again, this is sort of like, would the Braves not take back uh, John Smoltz if he had opted out of his contract and they're in, a season where they won 60 games or something and suck, and he wanted to shut it down. I don't know. So that's different though, because Schmaltz played a lot. I don't really know what the comparison would be like in terms of you're talking about like Braves, like someone that only played a little bit that was like a hotshot prospect. Alex can probably come up with somebody.
um,
No, he could not go to the portal's closed, so he could not transfer back.
I mean,
You still thinking
technically,
about my Braves question?
yeah, technically he hasn't transferred yet.
He hasn't done anything yet other
Yeah,
than clear out his
but
locker.
yeah.
Is he the Tommy Gregg of trades?
How about Steve Avery? Well, Steve Avery kind of injuries killed him, his career.
Pete
Um,
Smith.
I'm trying to
Um,
think. '90s run. Um, Rafael Furcal.
the guy who never won the job really was a former UGA player, which was Jeff Treadway, who ended up losing the second base job to Mark Lemke. Um,
Mark Limp.
they dealt him away, and then he turned into like sort of a pinch hitter guy. I don't know. Like I was trying to think. The one that popped in my head was Tommy Gregg, who ended up having a terrible career, or David Need, who ended up kind of blowing his career up.
Christian Pache. Yeah, he never turned out. He was a nice trade piece. Um, Jeff Francoeur was the hot shot prospect and came up and played well for about a year and a half, and then it was all downhill from there.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
trying to think of somebody played that even played less than that,
I
like
know
Roman Anthony with the Red Sox this year. Like,
George Lombard was one of their best prospects for a while. Never really. I think he's a coach and he's a manager somewhere now. Maybe I don't know. There's been a lot of prospects that didn't work out.
Big Bob Hamlin with the Royals. He was a DH for them. Hit a bunch of home runs and then like hit like a $170 the next year. Yeah, there's always some of them. Hey, so it's funny you joke about this, like about the old guys. I was joking today with somebody. I said that Damon should call up Amon Shumpert and Moses Wright, Jose Alvarado, and Glenn Rice Jr., whoever has eligibility left, and ask them to come back to help
Josh
this team out
Okogie.
once again. Yeah,
Josh,
Kogi.
he
He
played
had
one
another
year.
year.
Yeah,
Kogi was 2. I think he played 2, didn't he?
that might be. And
Yeah, because he had the good rookie year. I think he played. Maybe he played 3. Um,
he's played a lot. He played a lot with the Suns a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean they're just letting guys come back from the NBA now and play. So
yeah, Clayton Powell Lee declared for the draft. Clayton Powell Lee is out of eligibility in college. That's why he declared for the draft, my friend. He, unless they pass 5 for 5, he has played his 4 years of eligibility.
and Omar Daniels has played his 5. So I think those are more
Wilson
announcements.
Betterment. That's someone came up with that one.
Wilson
That's a good.
Betamete, yeah, I remember him, big time prospect.
Bergeron, 2 sport guys. You're going to play baseball.
The last time I talked to him, he was doing football only.
I think it's one of those things that's harder to do. You got to pick one.
Now, the Richardson kid from that tight end commit that got hurt for Marist this year. He is going to do the 2 sport thing when he
Is
gets
he
here.
is he going to do any of them this year though?
Well, I mean he'll be out till next fall, but
Yeah,
yeah, he's planning on doing the 2 sport thing. The last I heard.
I think he might end up being, what is the shirt where they enroll in January late? That
Yeah,
whatever that one is. I forget what that one's called.
gray shirt.
Is that the gray shirt or is it the blue shirt?
Whatever shirt.
Someone will remember in the chat. Appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. I think we're running out of gas. I'm not feeling too hot. I'm feeling too hot, which is probably not part of the problem.
Not yet. Let's get out of a regional first.
Yeah, like win something first before we go.
Yep, Kelly's got to go hibernate. Hope y'all don't take that the wrong way.
I would like to hibernate. Yeah, everybody give the video life. Appreciate you. Alex is going to watch the end of the Falcons game just in time for them to blow it, probably.
Shoot, they're up 21-3 somehow.
And that's perfect blowing it situation for the Falcons.
That's right.
Appreciate everybody. Y'all have a great 28-3. Wow.
Oh,
Appreciate everybody. We'll be back soon. Y'all have a good night. Enjoy your families. Enjoy New Year's. See y'all in 2026.
I don't know about that one.
Alex with the